Hey, Kathy.
Good afternoon. How you
Hey.
doing?
I am doing okay. I'm at the end of a cold, so like if I sound a little rough, that's why.
Yeah,
But
it
yeah,
really took you
other than
down.
that, doing
Other than
okay.
that, it took you down. You were sick for, like, you were really sick for a handful of
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, it's like one of those things like it's summertime and it's finally nice outside and you're all excited and then this massive head cold hits you. You're like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's okay. We're just getting this over with, so I can be good for the rest of the summer. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes, exactly. So, hey, have you guys been okay? You know what? For our viewers, it is June 1st. Is it June
Second.
1st? It's June 2nd. Oh, it's June 2nd. Never mind. 2025, of course. Have you guys gotten rain up north?
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
Well, some places got a whole bunch of rain, but we've
Hmm.
also had a couple of tornadoes were
Ooh.
reported. Yeah,
Oh.
it was really bad. It was really bad. So what came through here in Sherwood Park, it was actually the night of the meeting that we were having in Fort Saskatchewan. So I wasn't home. I missed it all. But
Oh,
here
okay.
at home, two of my neighbors' fences went down, and the air pressure in my house even changed so fast that it blew the attic hatch off.
What? Oh, okay, that is crazy. That
Yeah, it
is
was a
crazy.
little bit, well, not quite what we're used to around here.
Yeah. Oh, wow. We don't get that much down in this corner. But we did get a good soaking last night and this morning, so we're really grateful for that and
Yeah, it's good because
praying
we
that
got to
the
get these
rest of the
fires.
province. Yeah, right? We
Mm-hmm.
need it. We need it. So that's good. Wonderful. Well, hey, okay, so you had your meeting in Fort Saskatchewan. How'd that go?
Was really good. It was really good.
Yeah.
That one was a nice little cozy group, small group.
Hmm.
And again, you're kind of preaching to the choir, but
Hmm.
teaching them a few more verses to the song is what it
There
was
you go.
like, right? And they got a chance to get some questions answered and to talk a little bit and complain a little bit. And perhaps the best part of it is by the end of the meeting, all of the complaints that they had, and they're all valid, we all have them, turned into action items. So,
Nice.
yeah, so I think people really felt like they could come away from that with some new messaging, with some more upbeat messaging when they're talking to people, and not so much doom and gloom all the time, because that gets old pretty quick.
Yeah. And I mean, we do really just have so much to be hopeful for in
Hmm.
this situation that we find ourselves in Alberta. So, okay, so you had your meeting in Fort Saskatchewan. Now, I had a meeting in Hardston last week that went really well as well. And we had about 40 some people there. Maybe it was 30 some, I can't remember.
Yeah.
My husband did the count for me. But yeah, one of the things that came up in the meeting and that I've actually heard from individuals is what's kind of happening with the citizen-led, the petition for the referendum. Because, over the last 2 weeks, there has been some stuff in the news about that and about the Alberta Prosperity Project, the APP,
Hmm.
filing something with Elections Alberta. So there was some confusion and some questions about that. So we should probably address that for folks so that they can understand like what exactly happened and what does it mean for the Alberta independence movement at this time.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. So what did you answer them? What did you tell them?
Well, I kind of explained, there were some new people there in the audience, I guess, or whatever, in the group that were completely new to anything with politics. And so we did go over, the changes that had been made to the legislation around citizen initiated referendum. And we might as well explain it really quick right here. So back in, I think it was 2022 or 2020, yeah, it would have been 2022. Jason Kenney and his government introduced legislation in Alberta, which allowed citizens to put forward ideas for referendums, and if they got enough signatures within a certain time frame, then they could give that to the government, and the government would then hold a referendum on that particular thing. And it could be to do with anything, like any idea that a citizen had, as long as they got the requisite number of signatures within that time period. Now, the problem with that law is that the requirements, the number of signatures, and the time period were completely out of reach. And I mean, BC has had similar number requirements, that type of thing, for the last 25 years, I think, on their legislation. And it's rarely ever used. And I think it's only ever been successful once because the requirements are so high.
Mm-hmm.
And so what Danielle Smith did is the day after the election, the federal election, she announced that they were lowering the threshold for the number of signatures needed. And they were also expanding the amount of time that the people, moving forward with this initiative would have to collect those signatures, and made it really reachable, which is fantastic. MLA Jason Steffen from Red Deer South came out publicly in support of it,
Mm-hmm.
basically in support of the democratic process. The legislation as it was before was basically useless because you couldn't really use it to get anything done. But now we have the opportunity to become more involved in the democratic process. And so it's a good thing. Okay. So with
Okay.
that, we actually saw two things happen. The first one's kind of funny. So, Kathy, you remember who Thomas Lukasik is, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So he was an MLA. You know what? I keep meaning to look it up. I'm thinking under Allison Redford, but I might be wrong. Do you
Sounds right.
remember?
Sounds about the right time frame.
It's a while back that he was
Yeah.
an MLA, right? Now, for people who maybe aren't from Alberta, who might be seeing this, you have to understand this thing. There are no liberals, meaning the Liberal Party has been basically nothing,
Annihilated. Yeah. Done.
annihilated in Alberta, which means if you were a liberal who wanted to be in government, you have to basically be a conservative,
Mm-hmm.
because that's just the way it is in Alberta. Now, yeah, we had that 4-year anomaly of the NDP that got in there. But anytime before that, and pretty much since, we've seen liberals who have changed their stripes as much as needed to be able to get into the Conservative Party to be part of government.
Yep.
That's just the way it is.
Yep.
And Mr. Lukasik was definitely one of them.
Agreed.
So, anyways, he came out of the woodwork. And the day that this new legislation received royal assent, but had not yet been proclaimed into law, he filed his own petition. And do you remember he filed an application with Elections Alberta to start a petition?
That's
Okay,
right.
got to get that right. Do you remember what the wording was on the question that he wants?
Not not verbatim, but the gist of it is that it's a referendum for Alberta to just always remain a part of Confederation. So it's a
Yeah.
referendum on maintaining the status quo.
A referendum stating that we'll never have a referendum.
Correct.
Yeah. But strangely enough, he did it in such a timely fashion that the old rules apply. And so he's required to get 600,000 signatures. Now, I saw him on an interview with Ryan Jesperson.
Mm-hmm.
And, Ryan Jesperson, who was a radio host in Edmonton, very liberal. Um, he asked him about that. And Mr. Lukasik was like, oh, well, I don't need a hand up from Danielle Smith. I can get 600,000 signatures. And I'm like, wow, you must be a miracle worker, because in BC, they can never get 600,000
Nope.
signatures. But I guess he's going to do it. So, anyways, so we had that. And then what seemed to be in reaction to his actions, the Alberta Prosperity Project then filed an application for a petition, the
Mm-hmm.
same type of thing, with Elections Alberta, but with a bit of a twist. They're calling it a placeholder, and they had a cover letter with their application that they publicized, basically saying, we don't want this application put into the system until that new legislation is proclaimed into law and the new threshold comes into play. And then we would like you to kick this in. Now, Kathy, you and I have had dealings with Elections Alberta before.
Mm-hmm.
We know that they will not go anywhere near anything unless it is 100% clear to them in the legislation that they are actually allowed to do that.
Correct.
This is new legislation. I don't know exactly how far they are with things when it comes to getting things in place for this legislation. Um, I don't know. Maybe there is a placeholder thing. I don't know. The new legislation was like 300 pages long. I haven't read it. I admit it. So
Well, yeah, it's 300 pages long. I have gone through it actually, and it does take a while, but not as long as you might think, because some of those pages only have 20 words on them. So,
fair enough.
because I was very intimidated by the whole thing as well, and then just decided, grabbed a coffee one time and sat down and plowed through it to figure it out and see what was going on. Um, More because I wanted to try and understand what the timeline is now between
Mm,
when that is first filed as and when we would actually have a referendum, and what hiccups we might find in the middle. Um, but yeah, like EA hasn't had a chance. It's not proclaimed yet, just as you said. So they haven't had a chance to even wrap their heads around it, to figure out what their part in this is going to be, what that's going to look like for them. And they're in the middle now of managing 3 by-elections. They're a little busy. There's some other things on the go that that needs their attention more than this. So, I mean, the fact that when Mitch took that in and kind of tabled it, if you will, presented it, can you please put this in your file folder until that law has been proclaimed, was, I guess, smart for 2 reasons. One, because the law hasn't been proclaimed yet, but two, it just now is not the time. Like, Elections Alberta has a very small staff.
right.
And so we need to be mindful of that as well. If you want something done right, you got to go at it very strategically, and certainly not in the middle of when there's 3 by-elections, which probably explains why Lukaszik's application is nowhere to be seen. Like, once that application is accepted, then it's got to be advertised on EA's website for a month. And
Right.
I haven't checked this week, but I didn't see anything on it last week.
I'm sure we would have heard an update from Mr. Lukasik.
Somebody.
Um,
Yeah.
somebody, if whatever, if it was moving forward. So yeah, the answer that I kind of gave to folks at the meeting that were kind of asking about this was like, you know what, this doesn't change anything right now. Um, because we're just kind of in a holding pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And it's giving us time to focus on education, on getting the message out to folks who in the past maybe not have been inclined to politics, but who know and see that there is something seriously wrong with Canada right now,
Mm-hmm.
and has been for a while. And so, yeah, it's just kind of buying us some time to do that. I think I was a little, I'll be honest, I was a little distraught when I saw that the APP had filed that. Um, all we heard was that they'd filed. We didn't know that there was this placeholder thing or anything like that. And to me, it seemed reactionary. Now, I might be 100% wrong. Perfectly fine with that. But I think there's still a lesson to come out of this. To me, it seemed very reactionary to what Mr. Lukaszik had done.
Mm-hmm.
And being reactionary is the exact opposite of being independent,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
right? Like if you are, let's just say you're an independent person that had a goal, you keep your eye on that goal, you're focused on that goal,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing is going to distract you from that because you know what's best for you, what your goal is, what you need to do to accomplish that goal, and you're just doing it. And all the other stuff around you that's going on in reaction to maybe your goal is just noise,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Exactly.
if you are distracted by that noise, by everything that happens, and let's be honest, we are already seeing a lot of reactions to the independence sentiment in Alberta, from inside and mostly outside of Alberta. we're already seeing a lot of that. If we are constantly reacting to what is coming at us now or what will be coming to us, we will never make that goal.
Correct.
And so that was just kind of I was a little distraught. I was like, oh, crud, like what's going on? Now that I see, okay, got a placeholder thing going on, it still might have been in reaction to Thomas Lukasik. It might have been.
I think it
I'm not
was.
part of the APP. I can't speak to it. It sure looked like it.
Hmm.
Um, so I just think that as general, as a movement, we just have to be really, really focused and not allow ourselves to get distracted by the naysayers and all the crazy stuff that they're going to throw at us.
I agree, because that is only going to get worse the stronger we get. And so if we don't figure out how to, and you said it exactly right, it's just noise. If we do not figure out how to kind of cancel out that noise, everybody's got headphones on now, right? So if we don't figure out how to do that with this, then, oh my goodness, I mean, it could drive you absolutely bonkers listening
Bonkers,
to
and
it.
you just won't get anywhere.
No, you won't. You won't. And it's so important. Um, I mean, I remember that was such a, when you were talking about reaction and response, I remember as a mom of small children, that's part of what you try to instill in your kids, right? Don't react. Just because somebody did something bad to you doesn't mean you need to immediately punch them. Like, let's respond. If they start the fight, feel free to finish it. That was always the rule in my house. But you need to respond in that way, not react in that way. And it's so sometimes it feels like we're kind of learning the same lesson again as adults. Don't react. Let's just sit down, take a minute, look around, what's going on? How do we need to move this forward without losing our minds in the midst of it?
Yep.
Yeah. And I think too, when that announcement first came out, there was no talk about any cover letter that was with it.
Mm-mm.
So nobody knew that part of it until afterwards. So it was maybe a good communication lesson, I guess, for the folks at APP. And
Sure.
that's the thing too with this whole journey that we're on, right? The lessons that we get to learn along the way are absolutely miraculous. They're wonderful. And one of the other lessons that we're learning along the way is that nobody wants to debate the reasons to stay.
Oh, right. Oh
Right?
my goodness. That has been hilarious. I'm sorry. I've just had so many laughs about this week because go ahead and explain like how this has
Uh
come about.
Crazy. So Vince Byfield, my goodness, such a great Albertan. His family is absolutely iconic around here. If you've lived in Alberta for any more than 20 years, you know the Byfields. You've heard of them, you've read about them, you've read their stuff. They had the Alberta Report so many years ago. Just lovely, lovely people who love this province and love everybody that lives here. And so Vince is very politically active. He's followed in his father's footsteps, and he has been trying to get together a panel discussion with two people on the stay in Confederation side and two people on the we want out of here side. And he can find no shortage of people who are willing to speak very coherently, um, very pragmatically, very very much educated on the topic, on the get out of here side, but no one will come forward on the stay. They have a lot to say on social media about it, a lot of noise, a lot of opinions, a lot of reactions, but they will not get up on that stage to defend their stance. And that tells me um, that they don't have a stance to defend.
Oh, 100%. I mean, if you truly believe that Alberta is best to stay
Yeah,
in Canada, and I've had these discussions in a kind way with other folks where it's like, well, tell me why what makes you want to stay in Canada? You
exactly.
know, and you never really get any solid answers. Yeah, you get the romantic answers of what Canada used to be, but they cannot give any real solid reasoning why it would be better for us to stay. And so yeah, it's just funny because he's put it out there. I saw his post on Facebook and on X looking,
Hmm.
and lots of people had lots of suggestions. of different people, and some of them he was like, "Yep, tried them already," or I got a response of no, or I haven't got a response at all. Um, yeah, and it's like I think it's something that needs to be done. I think it's a discussion and a conversation that should be had.
Yes,
We need to
absolutely.
make an informed decision. And how can we be informed if there aren't even people who can stand up on one side of the argument and explain the argument to stay?
Well, that's just it. And the forum, as far as I understand it, anyways, isn't to have these people come in front of all of us who want to see independence and try and convince us to stay. It's actually a forum for all Albertans to come and explore the topic and hear both sides. So
And
it's really
a legitimate debate for format.
exactly. So it's a real opportunity to bring Albertans together in order to explore the idea together. And for some reason, nobody on the we want to stay side will take up that opportunity to defend their stance. And I just don't understand that. Like, are we that scary? Those of us that want independence, are we that frightening? I mean, I'm friends with some of these people who have been asked and said no.
Well, that's what they claim. That's what they claim. And of course, there's always a lot of name calling attached to it. But
Oh
there's
yeah.
some very smart, intelligent people. I do not count myself as one of them. But there's some very smart, intelligent people who know what they're talking about in the province of Alberta who make the case for independence and can make it well. And it's not a bunch of hicks and a bunch of hillbillies and all the other things that we get called angry people. It's not. My heck, one of the biggest proponents of Alberta independence right now is an Ontario professor by the name of Bruce Pardy, who teaches
Hmm.
constitutional law in Ontario. And why is he one of the biggest proponents? Because there are very strong, compelling reasons that this would be the best for Alberta and in most likelihood the best for Canada itself.
Exactly right.
So
Exactly right.
yeah, they always resort to the name calling and the demeaning and the dehumanizing, but that still is not making a case for us to stay in Alberta. If anything, it's driving. I just say, bring it on because all you're doing is you're strengthening our position. Because
That's
you know what?
exactly right.
Every time I see this, not every time, but oftentimes when I see this on X, all I have to say is Exhibit A for the case for separation. Because it's like, well, you just keep pushing us that direction. Please
Yep.
do us a favor, keep going.
Well, that's just it. And then the ones that I guess I just really find it so disappointing that the Albertans who say we want to stay will will not do anything formal with that stance, right? The ones who want independence, we're doing some pretty formal things with that stance, not the least of which is a citizens-led initiated referendum. Um, but the ones that want to stay don't seem to want to really put themselves out there like we have to argue and debate their points with us. And that is super sad. That is just super sad. It's very disappointing. It's I don't know. I'm almost tempted to say it's not the Alberta way. We sit down and we hash things out and we talk it through. That's how we should be doing this. And maybe there's some reasons to stay that I can't think of because there aren't any. But you know what I mean? Uh,
Right.
Yeah, give me the opportunity. Give me and the reasons that I've heard so far from the keyboard warriors who will, fight from behind their laptops or their phones and not in front of you are, well, we don't have a military. Well, that's not a reason to stay. I don't know if you've checked out the Canadian military we have right now, but
I really like the new logo. I'm so glad that we spend a lot of time and money on that new logo because I feel a lot safer having that logo.
do you? Yeah, yeah. Those Chinese balloons ain't getting across here now. Not with that.
They
Not with
wouldn't get
that. Wouldn't, absolutely not. Right. So that gets an excuse. It's not
but
a reason. It's just one of so many examples.
and the thing like with the military thing, I'm sorry, people, nations have been building militaries for millennia.
Yep.
It's not rocket science.
Nope. Nope. It isn't. It
Not rocket
really
science.
isn't. And you
No.
know what? Just maybe all of the soldiers that we have here in Alberta would be more than happy to work for a legitimate military that appreciates them and makes sure they don't have to go out and buy their own shoes.
Right? Yeah.
Just a thought. Just a
Crazy.
thought.
Crazy
Yeah.
Kathy.
So there's all
Yeah.
these things, and it gets very frustrating. So there's that. It would be nice though if one of them would get the chutzpah to get up on that stage and have this conversation and have this debate and do it right. Do it formal. Like, stop putting us into this corner that we're all a bunch of angry old people with pitchforks and everything, because we're actually not. And I have yet to experience that at all. I mean, there's a lot of anger out there. There's no doubt about that, but it's very controlled anger. It's not at all what you think. It's not like when I went to a UCP event here some months ago when the premier came, and it was a fireside chat thing, and I went, and it was here in Sherwood Park, and there were a bunch of protesters outside, and the the cops had to come and deal with the protesters. We were not the problem. The protesters,
Wow.
right? So
Yeah.
I think people have it a little bit backwards, that it's really not us. Um, and then the other thing too with all of this is to be careful in the messaging, because it's kind of, I guess that's sort of the theme of what we're talking about here, isn't it? In the messaging is, I saw on X today that apparently it's been leaked. Now this is one of those X accounts where you don't know who's behind it. So
Gotta
you
love
don't,
those accounts. Yeah.
honestly. Um, I saw it there. It was one of those X accounts. It's been leaked that there will be a referendum on independence in the fall.
Mm.
And then I went through some of the comments, and of course it said, "Oh yeah, bring it on. This is great," so on and so forth. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I don't know if we have the numbers to pass it. But what people need to remember is that if that is the case and that's going to happen, then that is not a citizen-led initiative. That is a government initiative. Because the way the legislation is written, even with all the rule changes, the timeline, it's legislatively impossible to get it done by
Yeah.
the
No.
fall.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's going to be government led. If it's true, if it's going to happen, that's going to be government led, which then means two things. A, maybe our numbers really are there, and the UCP government is considering, you know what, let's just go with it and see what happens. Or B, they're not there, and the UCP government wants to squash it. And so then when you think about the politics that takes place behind all of this, because there's always politics and politics. Um, if it is, you know what, the numbers are there, let's just go, let's just get this party started literally,
Mm-hmm.
then that is perhaps a means of saving the UCP party, because once you get up into those top party brass, that's what it's really all about. It's all about saving the party, the party, the party, the party, the party. The, and so that's an interesting take, that could be what it is. But if it's to try and squash it because their numbers are getting higher, but they're not quite there, that's to their detriment.
Yeah, if that's the case, folks will see through that
Yeah,
very, very easily, very quickly.
they really will. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure I believe that leak yet. I don't know. We'll have to
Yeah, I
watch and
guess we'll
see.
find out.
We
We'll
will.
find
We'll have to watch and find out. But in the meantime, like, we've got all of these voices that are out there talking about this. And that's good. That's really, really good. And then I see other posts that say, well, all of these voices need to come under one banner, right? And then maybe if
Mm.
these leaks happen, they won't, there'll be a little bit more certainty to them. Or if the voices all come under one banner, then the UCP government will be pushed a little bit harder one way or the other. Or all of these voices come together, then this will happen or that will happen. And I don't think it's time yet for the voices to come together.
No, and I can think of a few reasons why we wouldn't want that yet. And I think mostly is that there is such a variety of voices right now speaking out for Alberta independence in different ways, whether it's on social media, whether it's through rallies, whether it's through smaller meetings like we're doing. Um, those that variety of voices and variety of messaging is reaching a far wider audience
Yeah.
than we would see if we were all under one banner. And that, I mean, I'm really glad you brought that up, Kathy, because that's something that comes up at every single meeting. Why don't we get everybody together? Well, we're going to be missing a whole lot of people if we do that. As long as we are all facing the same direction and looking towards the same goal, but we're coming at it all from different angles. That's all that matters. That's all that
That's right.
matters. And I'm convinced that's what we're seeing. You know, the APP is taking it from one angle. Morgan is taking it from another angle. We have social media influencers who are taking it from another angle. We're taking it from another angle, right? There's
Yeah.
websites. I mean, there's so many different things out there. And if you bring it all under one umbrella, some of those things are going to kind of fall away, get squashed, get set to the side, whatever. That's the last thing we want to do right now.
Exactly. And I think perhaps the missing bit of communication in all of this is just because we have all of these voices that are out there meeting people where they're at in the way that they need to be met, doesn't mean that we're not communicating with one another, right?
Right?
I mean, I
Yeah,
just talked to Mitch
absolutely.
Sylvester the other day, and while we were talking right now, my phone rang from another one, that's one of these other groups. And we're still talking. We're
Hmm.
just making sure that we're being available to the different demographics that are
Yes.
out there to chat with them in a way that's most meaningful to that demographic.
Yeah.
And that's really, really important to do. And there seems to be quite a bit of consensus among those of us that have just decided to be kind of forward facing, if you will, in getting the message out that, yeah, you know what, we really do. We need all hands on deck. Let's keep pushing forward, and you guys keep talking to the ladies, and we'll keep talking to this group, and we'll keep talking to that group, and you guys will go, and Corey Morgan will continue to do his videos and connect us with the folks that he knows, and Keith Wilson will continue to keep us on the straight and narrow with what's legally able to
Hmm.
happen.
Yeah.
And all these sources and all of these voices, we're all talking to one another. Just
Yeah.
because we're not under one tent or one name or one banner or one flag, we're
Yeah.
all talking to one another. So that's a beautiful thing. You couldn't ask for more.
It is a beautiful thing. And it also provides safety for the movement. Because
Yes.
if you're all under one banner, you're one dang easy target,
Yep.
right? And this is what we see with the separatist parties over the decades. Put a target on your back, right? But
And
if
so,
you've got all these different little pieces,
mhm,
it's really hard. You can't just take it down in one fell swoop like we've seen with the parties. So
exactly.
I just think that it's working out quite brilliantly, actually. I
Well, it
love,
really is.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And if you think, I like how you said like all these pieces. So if you think of a puzzle, even if one of those pieces ends up going and disappearing somehow, you still get what the picture is,
yeah,
right? And that's
yeah,
that's how I see this, is that even if one of those pieces falls away for whatever reason, hopefully not, because I think everybody certainly has something remarkable and incredible to bring to the table in the way that they communicate and the message that they have. Um, but if something happens that one of them happens to blow themselves up, well, the rest of us are still here to pick up the pieces and put the rest of them back together. And that's important to be able to do.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good point there, Kathy.
Ah, every
Yeah.
once in a while I have a moment. every
Good.
so often. But it's
Hmm.
never dull, is it? It's never dull. Every week brings a new thing, and you and I are constantly texting back and forth with what we saw or what we read or what's going on over here or over there. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much going on. And speaking of which, meetings coming up. What have you got?
mm, I
North.
have
You've
I have a couple things. So there's one this weekend here in Sherwood Park,
okay.
and I think there's still a little bit more room. So if people want to come over, they can. So that one is on the way. Seems to me I've got something for July as well, but I don't think the dates have been nailed down yet.
Yeah.
And I will probably have something else at my house again.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. That
Nice.
went really well, so I think I will do it again and
Yeah, that's awesome.
get my neighbors wondering what's going on over at the Flett house with there's so many vehicles.
Maybe they'll come on over. Let me see what we've got down in Southern Alberta. So we do have, again, we're just nailing down dates for Hill Spring in June.
Mm-hmm.
So doing another one in Hill Spring, and then we've got one coming up in Turner Valley. But I don't have dates on that quite yet. But that's going to be a pub night, which sounds like a lot of fun.
That'll be good.
So yeah, so we will definitely keep people posted on that. If people want to reach us, you can always email us. Well, you can find us on X,
Mm-hmm.
Alberta Women's Independence Network. You can find us on Facebook, same thing, Alberta Women's Independence Network. Or you can always email us, abwomensindependencenetwork at gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can comment on the video and
That's right.
we'll get back to you that way as well. Yeah.
That's about
So
it. Oh, you know what? I should say, one of the gals that was at the meeting that I was at last week in Fort Saskatchewan, she made the comment that she's going to try and organize her Bible study to have me come.
love
I
it.
thought, wow. I mean, even as a Christian, that didn't occur to me at all. She thought of it though. And so maybe for the folks that are listening to this, if you've got a crew together for a Bible study and some of them are politically inclined, maybe have Angela or I come and crash your Bible
Would love
study.
it. Would love it. We're always open to talking to people with all kinds of different convictions and ideas and finding that commonality, which a lot of time is really freedom, right? Um,
Exactly.
and especially we see that with the ladies. The guys, oftentimes they'll bring up the economics of the situation, which is important.
Hmm.
But oftentimes with the women, it's more the ideology. It's the ability to raise my family the way that I find is right and best for us. And the preservation of those freedoms seems
Hmm.
to really stand out with the ladies. And so, yeah, that's really, really what it's all about.
It is, and even that came through loud and clear at the meeting that I was at in Fort Saskatchewan last week. It was a mixed crowd, men and women, and which they often are. And these guys, they meet all the time. So they were very comfortable with one another anyways. But the
Mhm.
question comes up, well, why do we focus on women? Well, because we've come to notice that once that balance and there's, one or two more guys in the room, the women won't talk. They just don't. And it's not a bad thing, it's not a good thing, it's just a thing. It is what it
Yeah.
is. And so we're trying to facilitate this in a way that gives them a voice and a, and and a freedom to be able to say what they want to say when they want to say it. And to my surprise, and I don't know why I'm surprised by this, but to my surprise, two of the guys in the room got it instantly. And they said, "Thank you so much. Like, that makes so much sense the way that you said that." Now, in that room, it didn't matter. All the women were used to the guys and they all talk, but they understood that in different circles, and especially if it's a bunch of strangers in a room that they don't know one another. And
Yeah.
and so it was good. It made me feel better about it because we do take a little bit of flack on that. There was one lady who wouldn't come, actually, because we said, well, we specifically talked to the women, but the men are invited too. And because we voiced it like that, she felt that we were excluding men and decided not to come. And that's okay. I mean, that's all right. It's not our intention to have that happen. and perhaps she'll soften up and come again to another meeting that we'll have. But I don't know, I took great comfort in the fact that these guys understood.
Yeah, yeah. And I've had the same thing happen with guys, but also with women. So at the Karsten meeting, there was a lot of folks there that I'd never met before. There were some that I knew, but
Hmm.
some that I'd never met before. And I was approached right at the very beginning by these three women. They had to be in their 70s, maybe even their 80s. Like they were senior women. And the very first thing, and it was very direct, why is this for women?
Hmm.
And I just said basically what you explained. And they paused for a minute, and then one of them was like, yeah, you know what? When we had that town hall when Danielle Smith came, and then there was a Q&A afterwards, there was probably 12 men and two women. Like
Yeah.
they were like, oh, okay. Like you could see it, just like the wheels kind of turned, like, totally get it. And they were like, yeah, good. This is what we need. And it was
Yeah.
a fantastic meeting. And we had men there and they participated. It was great. But it was mostly women and
Yeah.
just really interesting, very, very interesting conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool. It's working. It's working. Kind of,
Mhm.
unconventional. We're worked so very hard, women did, to get in these spaces, in these political spaces with guys, and then it's not that we're trying to not include the guys in our political space at all.
No.
They're always welcome. It's not a problem at all in that regard. It's just there's still differences between men and women, whether we like to admit it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you, Kathy. Really
Thank you. I
appreciate
love
it.
these chats. I just do.
I do too. And I really needed it because it got me out of my pajamas. It's cold, it's kicking my butt. But anyways, it was good. I was like, I should put on a shirt. So
You
anyways,
probably should. Probably
right?
should.
No,
Yeah.
I feel very happy, very good after having this
Awesome.
time with you. So thank you so much. And yeah, we'll do this again soon.
Absolutely. We'll see what we have to talk about next time.
I'm sure there'll be something.
Always is.
All righty. Take care.
Take care.